Howdy folks, Mike McCarty here again with the Rough and Tumbled channel. We're getting into the cooler weather. Oh man, I'll tell you what, I really love the cooler weather. Now I don't like cold weather, but you know, when I can get out and drink coffee in the morning and I have to have a jacket and on, you know, maybe a little old boggin or something on my ears, I like it. Get out there and drink a good cup of coffee. Oh man, you talking about nice, that's nice. And it reminds me of a lot of cool mornings out in the oil field. And even on the cold days, there's nothing as cozy as getting into the cab of a 3/4 or 1-ton truck and letting that heater just warm your bones up, you know, because you've been working out in the elements and cab of a truck. Oh, it's just a wonderful thing. But anyway, this story today is about a boy that come from Alabama, southern Alabama. And he was a big old motorcycle rider. He rode a big Harley Davidson to work every day. And, you know, he had a long ponytail. And I always kind of felt like that old boy wouldn't be the kind of guy you'd want to mess with. You know, really likable, really nice fella. But something told me that's not a man to be jacking with. You better treat him right. Now, he was oil field, and he worked for Halliburton Company, and I used to do a ton of work for Halliburton Company, and he worked in one of the departments out there, and he would ride that big motorcycle in there, and they had parking areas, and they had a spot where they kept some radioactive stuff in the ground and had it fenced off and all, and there was a little area right beside some of the parking areas where he could just slip that motorcycle in beside that, get it out of the way of the other automobile traffic and trucks and what have you, and he felt like it was good and safe. But it wasn't a designated parking spot. Well, they got a new boss out there over the yard, the facility guy, and he was, I guess there's not a nice way to say it, so I just won't say. I'll let y'all's imagination do the work for you. Anyway, he was one of those, and he decided that he wanted people parking right. And he told his little hand there, not little hand, but, you know, this guy that helped him to get things accomplished out there, he said, I want you to give parking tickets if people don't park the way we've got it all marked and designated. And he finds out that this big old motorcycle rider from Alabama, this big tough guy, was parking that Harley up in there, not in a parking spot, but it was a great spot. It was perfect to park that big high-dollar Harley Davidson motorcycle. And, but boy, this big boss didn't like it. Because this old boy had to go against his orders, what he said was important. Now, you know what, before all of that, things were not like that. You know, it was more of a good old boy mentality, you know, and just common sense approach to life. And it made a lot more sense. And one day that yard guy that helped the new big boss out, he comes and he puts a parking ticket on that big motorcycle, and they tried to kind of move it over a little, and they couldn't because I think the steering column was locked or whatever. Anyway, the Alabama boys noticed that somebody had messed with his Harley Davidson. Well, you know, that's like messing with a man's cowboy hat. you don't touch a man's cowboy hat. You don't lay a hat on the brim. You don't touch that hat. You don't mess with that hat. That's a personal piece of clothing, and there's a line there. You don't cross that line. Well, the line had been crossed, and boy, this old Alabama boy, he grabbed that ticket off that motorcycle, and he started walking across the parking lot, and it was a pretty good ways over there to the big office. But he walked all the way across there, and he walks in that big office, and of course he had to go through several corridors and pass all kind of people up, and walks into the big boss's office, and the guy was sitting there at his desk. And he didn't say a word. He just got that ticket in his hand, and he walked up to his desk and threw that ticket on that desk. And that guy kind of drew back and looked at him, and he said, "Don't ever touch my motorcycle. Don't ever." And that old boss looked down there at that ticket and realized what it was. He says, "I'll do just exactly what I want to do. You don't tell me what I can do and what I can't do, and you better park that motorcycle right." He says, "I'm the boss out here. Don't you realize I can fire you?" And that old Alabama Southern boy, in that beautiful Alabama accent, Southern Alabama, I love to hear him talk. He says, "You don't understand, boy." He said, "I'll die for my motorcycle." He meant it. He meant it. That'd be like messing with one of the Hells Angels motorcycles or the Banditos. I worked with some Banditos, and these are tough customers. They mean business. Now, I'm not going to get into what's right, what's important here. I'm just talking about what is, what's reality and the way it was. And that old boy was telling him, "You touch my bike again, I'm going to take you out. You know, you better leave it alone." Well, whether you like that, whether you agree with that or not, that was the way it was. And you know what? I believe that he meant it. And that's exactly the way it would have come out. Never had to, because guess what? Nobody touched his bike again. And I'm really glad about that. I sure liked that old boy. He was good to work around. I mean, we were contractors, and we worked around there. He always treated us very well, very well. And, it's like I said in the previous video, it's how you make people feel. Very appreciated. I appreciated it very much. Well, folks, that's the tale about the big Harley rider from Alabama. Hope you enjoyed it. Appreciate a like and a subscribe if you would. Subscribing costs nothing. Costs nothing. You just hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified, hit the bell, and it'll do those things for you. That's all it is. And anyway, until next time, I hope y'all have good sailing ahead. I'm Mac McCarty saying so long for the rough and tumbled channel.